It's time to finally review Fyter Fest, so let's get into it. This is All Elite Review. What's happening, ladies and germs? This is the PackerMan, and welcome to today's edition of All Elite Review. I'm going to be reviewing Fyter Fest in this video, finally, before we get to my review of All Out. So, let's just cut through all the formalities and get through this as quickly as humanly possible. So, the pre-show, the buy-in, consisted of 3 matches. The first one was Private Party versus SoCal Uncensored versus the Best Friends. The winners would go on to All Out to compete for a first round bye in the tag team title tournament. And on SoCal Uncensored's side, it was Frankie Kazarian versus Scorpio Sky. Arguably, I would have put this on the main card, and then I would have put Chima versus Daniels in this spot. But you know, it is what it is. Highlights of the match. Kazarian's 3-hit combo was pretty good. Scorpio Sky's pendulum backbreaker. Mark Quinn with a springboard crossbody. He also hits the Pele kick on multiple occasions. That's one of the things that I really don't like. Some of these guys like going back to the well a couple of times with certain moves. Quinn skins the cat over his teammate and goes back into a tornado DDT. That was pretty cool. His teammate, Isaiah Cassidy, with an Asai moonsault to the outside. The cameras kind of missed it. So that's something they still got to iron out. The Best Friends with the rocket launcher cutter, which is pretty cool. Trent with the Northern Lights suplex. Isaiah Cassidy hits a nice little tornado kick. Kazarian with a slingshot cutter. Chuck Taylor with the standing sliced bread. Scorpio Sky hits a diving cutters. Beretta with the step up tornado DDT. Mark Quinn's shooting star press was pretty cool. I mean he's one of the best to do it. I mean it's picture perfect. Taylor does the belly to belly suplex into the corner and then hits a short pile driver, which sets up his teammate Trent's Bisaku knee. SoCal Uncensored with a backstabber high kick double stomp impaler combo, which was a nice little combination. Quinn backflips out of an avalanche German suplex, which was pretty cool. And then Private Party does a Frankensteiner cutter combo that they call the gin and juice, which I didn't learn until All Out what the name of that move was. Taylor backdrops Quinn onto Scorpio Sky, and then he hits a rising knee, and Trent Beretta hits a Bisaku knee, and then the Best Friends hit a strong zero, their double stomp crunchy combo for the 3 count and the win. This was one hell of a triple threat tag team match, and further solidified that the tag team division in AEW is probably the best in the world right now. I gave this match 4 stars out of 5. The next match on the card was Leva Bates, the Librarian, versus Allie. The Librarian gimmick sucks. I mean, I'm just going to go ahead and say it. I realize that it's like a joke gimmick and it's intentionally supposed to be bad, but it just sucks, and I think it's more of an anchor to Leva Bates than anything else. As far as this match goes, it really wasn't that good. A lot of botches. Highlights of the match: Allie with a crossbody and a Russian leg sweep. Bates' fisherman suplex was pretty good. She did a Northern Lights suplex. Bates also had a Rings of Saturn move. Allie hit a neck breaker. Leva Bates hit a backstabber and then a pedigree, which was interesting. I don't know if that was a jab at Triple H or not. Then Allie hit the best super kick ever, that BSE, which it really isn't. It's not that good. For the 3 count and the win. This match sucked. I gave it 2 stars. And both wrestlers, I mean, they're better than that, obviously, but this was just not well choreographed. And then the final match on the pre-show was Michael Nakazawa versus Alex Jabali in a hardcore match, quote unquote. This match was the drizzling shits, honestly. I mean, they tried to make it seem like a hardcore match. They even brought some gaming related items into the match, but honestly, I was not feeling this match whatsoever. Mainly because Michael Nakazawa fucking sucks. His gimmick sucks. The baby oil shit. I am just not a fan of that whatsoever. And I honestly don't understand why AEW decided to sign this guy. 1 second, sneeze alert. I mean, the only highlight of this match was when Nakazawa speared Jabali to the outside through a table. That was pretty cool. But other than that, there was nothing of salient value to this match. The finish was Jabali rolling up Nakazawa with a Lamahistral. But then Nakazawa uses his jock strap that he pulled from out of his fucking trunks and shoved it into Jabali's face to reverse the pin to get the 3 count and the win. Fuck this match. Fuck Michael Nakazawa. He fucking sucks. His gimmick fucking sucks. This match sucked a big old pile of dicks. I gave it 1 star out of 5. Fuck this match. Now we get to the main card. The first match on the card, and obviously the buy-in. Before we get to the main card, the buy-in is obviously supposed to be something that lures you in to want to, buy the pay-per-view. But this was probably, out of all 4 shows that we've seen from AEW at this point, I think Fyter Fest had the weakest buy-in. I mean, yeah, that triple threat tag team match was awesome, but the other 2 matches, honestly, for all intents and purposes, were the drizzling shits. The main card, though, was pretty freaking good, all things considered. The opening match was the Fallen Angel Christopher Daniels against Chima. And of course, these 2 faced off at Double or Nothing as part of their respective 6-man tag teams, their groups. Chima had Strong Hearts, and of course, Fallen Angel Christopher Daniels is part of SCU, SoCal Uncensored. Highlights of the match. Chima had a running drop kick and a baseball slide. Daniels with his tilt-a-whirl backbreaker and a Northern Light suplex, and of course his STO, which always looks really good. Daniels hit an Arabian moonsault, another one of his patented moves, and transitioned it into a crossface. Chima hits a backstabber and a very nice iconoclasm, which, if you don't know what that is, it's basically where his opponent's on the middle rope, he turns around, grabs both arms, and then throws him over his head into kind of like a Michinoku driver. Daniels hits the Blue Thunder Bomb, and then he also hits the Angel's Wings, which Chima kicked out of, which was kind of made me go, huh? Because that's one of Daniels' finishing maneuvers. So it was kind of surprising to see Chima kick out of that. And then Chima hit a running powerbomb as well as the perfect driver. And then he hit his Schwein finisher, which is the air raid crash. And then it hit a meteor off the top after that to get the 3 count and the win. Very nice, fast-paced action between 2 veterans of wrestling. Very good opening match. I gave it 4 stars out of 5. Next up was the triple threat match between Riho, Nyla Rose, and Yuka Sakazaki. So 2 Japanese wrestlers against the monster, basically. And one of the things that kind of came out of this match was the fact that they made Nyla Rose seem like that she wasn't really taking these 2 seriously. She had a very lackadaisical kind of persona in this match, like she wasn't really taking these 2 seriously at all because of the size advantage that she had. And that ultimately led to her downfall, which eventually led to her saying, yeah, I'm not doing that anymore. So, and when we get to the All Out review, I'm going to kind of touch on that because she was a part of the Casino Battle Royal, and we'll talk about that when we get to it. But highlights of this match, Rose's diving splash on both opponents went for the 2 count, and both of them bridged out of it, which was pretty cool. Nyla Rose hit a double suplex on both of them, and then put them both in a double camel clutch, which was pretty interesting. But they managed to get to the ropes. Rose with a suplex, and then a gorilla press drop on Yuka Sakazaki, dropping her onto Riho. Then Yuka hits a head scissors takedown on Nyla Rose. Then Yuka hits a diving splash and a missile drop kick on Riho. Riho with a head scissors takedown of her own. Hits a double stomp. She really loves the double stomp. And then hits a coup de grace, which is a double stomp off the top rope. And then Yuka hits a ground lariat, where she basically does a sliding lariat. Rose hits a kind of a layout uranagi. And if you don't know what a uranagi is, it's basically a rock bottom. Its technical term is the uranagi, but she kind of lays out with it, which was pretty cool, and it looked really impactful. But again, she had a very lackadaisical cover and only resulted in a 2 count. And then she hits a stalling suplex. I believe she hit the sit out uranagi on Yuka. Hit a stalling suplex, and then hung Riho on the top rope and jumped up to the top rope and hit a flying knee strike on her. And I don't know how it happened, but Riho, her gums were bleeding at this point, where she got struck in the mouth at some point. And then Rose tries to go for a swanton bomb, but misses. Rose catches both opponents who try to go for a crossbody, but Yuka reverses into a roll-up, and both Riho and Yuka had a pinning predicament, so that would have been interesting if Rose didn't kick out. It's like, okay, well, who won between Riho and Yuka? You know, because they both had the pin. That would have been interesting to sort out. Yuka hits a suplex on Riho and then tries to go for the Magical Girl Splash, but Riho puts her knees up and counters it. Nyla Rose hits a German suplex on Yuka and then hits the Beast Bomb, which is a sit-out power bomb, for a 2 count. Hit the Beast Bomb on Yuka, and Riho countered it. Riho hits a flying knee strike. Nyla Rose hits a Death Valley driver. And then Rose tries to go for a Beast Bomb on Riho, but Riho counters out of it into a nice little leg capture pin and gets the surprise 3 count and the win. And the crowd just absolutely went nuts. And this is not going to be the last time these two meet. And again, I'll talk about that in the All Out review. We'll get to that when we get to it. This was actually a very well choreographed match. A lot of storytelling in this one too, about how, you know, the two smaller opponents were at times teaming up to take on the bigger opponent. Nyla Rose being, you know, like I said, very lackadaisical with how she was facing her opponents, like not even, you know, seeing them as a threat. And as it turned out, you know, she got pinned by one of them. So it's probably going to harden her demeanor in storyline to say, oh yeah, it's not going to happen again. I gave this 4 stars out of 5 because I really love the storytelling on this one. Next up is a fatal 4-way match between MJF, Jungleboy, Jimmy Havoc, and Hangman Adam Page. Of course, they're going to give the win to Adam Page here because, you know, he's in the AEW World Championship match. Highlights of this match: MJF on the mic is pretty freaking awesome, I will admit. He is one of the best troll heels that they have on the roster, and he's getting legitimate heel heat. You know, it's, and like I said, it's the kind of heel heat where it's like, I want to see you get your shit pushed in. So that's awesome. So, like I said, highlights of the match. Paige hits a big boot. Jungle Boy with a backflip arm drag. Of course, Jungle Boy was super over. He hits a Frankensteiner. Havoc with a low drop kick. Paige hits a fallaway slam. Havoc with a somersault plancha. Jungle Boy with a drop kick, and then hits a kind of a cannonball moonsault onto everyone, where he was kind of, where everyone was on the outside, he was kind of, pushing off of the top turnbuckle. Actually got his legs caught on the top turnbuckle, but still was able to somersault onto everybody. That was pretty cool. And then Jungle Boy hit a leaping somersault power bomb, which was pretty cool. And then we had the Tower of Doom, where everybody got taken out. MJF had a cradle pin, only got a 2 count. Paige's rolling elbow, which it looks really good. Jungle Boy hit a poison Frankensteiner on Jimmy Havoc. Paige with a discus lariat, and then a pop-up power bomb on Jungle Boy. Havoc hits a German suplex. MJF with a double stomp, and then a judo throw in the corner, and then a chop block on Hangman Page, going for the injured leg. Continuity, how about that? And then MJF was trying to mock Bret the Hitman Hart, because he at Double or Nothing he crashed the title unveiling. So he was trying to mock, Bret the Hitman Hart. But Paige counters and puts on the sharpshooter himself. MJF hits the Heat Seeker pile driver, where his opponent is caught in the ropes. And he basically leaps up and then does like a pile driver type maneuver. Havoc hits the coup de grace. And then was going for, I believe, the Acid Rainmaker, which is the Ripcord Lariat. But Paige does his buckshot lariat. Was going for MJF, but MJF ducks out of the way. And Paige hits Havoc instead. MJF tries to throw Paige out of the ring, but Paige reverses it. And then Paige hits Havoc with the Deadeye, which is, of course, the Dragon Driver, for the 3 count and the victory. I give this match 4 stars out of 5. It was pretty obvious that Paige was going to win. Got to keep him strong for that championship match. Next up is Cody Rhodes versus Darby Allin. This one was kind of interesting, how they told the story of this one. Highlights of the match: Allin with his Sky Arm Drag. That always looks really cool. Mistral Cradle. And then Cody threw Allin into the corner, and Allin kind of went sideways and went spiraling out of the ring. But I still managed to bump cleanly, which was pretty interesting considering how out of control that was. That was pretty crazy. Rhodes hits a release suplex. Cody with an Argentine gutbuster, and then a figure 4. Hip toss into the corner. He also hit a flatliner and another drop suplex. Then Allin hit a corkscrew splash, and then a tope suicida. Rhodes would follow with one of his own. Allin hits a Yoshi Tonic. Rhodes with an inverted superplex. I love the inverted suplex. And then, of course, he does the inverted superplex, which always looks crazy. But then one of the what the fuck moments of the night came when Allin went for the coffin drop, which is basically a trust fall, senton splash, and missed. Cody rolled out of the way, and Allin hit the apron hard. That was one of them. Jesus. Rhodes hits a bicycle kick, and then puts Allin into the body bag that Allin had brought out that said Cody 1-1 on it. And Rhodes hits a disaster kick with Allin in the body bag. And then as time is running out, because this was under a 20-minute time limit, Allin hits Cody with a shoulder ride stunner. But then Rhodes spikes Allin with the crossroads, and Allin basically said, "Oh, I'm just going to take this right on the top of my head." It's like, damn, dude. And then Cody got the cover, but as the referee's hand was coming down for 3, time expired, and it ended up being a 20-minute time limit draw. And I was like, damn. Basically telling the story that Allen managed to survive 20 minutes with Cody. Which is a story that they would perpetuate at Fight for the Fallen, when they made it seem like, Cody couldn't beat Darby Allin, but Shawn Spears, which I'm going to talk about here in a minute, was able to beat Allin with the Death Valley Driver. I give this match 3.5 stars. At times it seemed really, really slow. I did like the storytelling, though. And the crowd was chanting 5 more minutes. Well, actually, it wasn't necessarily 5 more minutes. They were chanting overtime, overtime. And typically in situations like this, at a referee's discretion, they can add 5 more minutes to a match to get a clear-cut winner, so to speak, which has happened on many occasions. But then Shawn Spears comes out with a chair, and it's like, what the hell? And then, much to the shock of everyone, he hits Cody with an unprotected chair shot to the head. Which certainly gave AEW a lot of criticism that they had to deal with. But it was kind of weird because he hit Cody on the left side of his head, yet the cut was on the right side. I don't know if the chair kind of wrapped around or something like that. But that was really weird. And it's like, I don't know why you would make a decision like that, but to not at least protect yourself. But that would certainly play into the story further down the line at All In as well. And then we get the Lucha Brothers and Laredo Kid versus the Golden Elite of the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega. And of course, this rivalry between the Lucha Brothers and the Young Bucks continues. And of course, it would all come to a head at All Out, which was absolutely amazing. We'll get to that when we get to it. The Golden Elite coming out as the World Warriors was pretty cool. Of course, the Young Bucks were dressed up as Ken and Ryu from Street Fighter 2. That was pretty fucking cool. And then Kenny had was kind of looking like Akuda. He actually had an outfit of Akuda ready, but it didn't get to the arena in time, which kind of sucks. But highlights of the match: Laredo Kid with a flying crossbody, the Lucha Brothers with a super kick party and dives to the outside, Phoenix with a head scissors takedown, Pentagon with, of course, his sling blade, Lucha Brothers and Laredo Kick with a double super kick Poison Frankensteiner combo, which was pretty cool. Phoenix's, of course, inverted 619 roundhouse kick, where he does a 619, reverses, goes back in and hits a roundhouse. Laredo Kid hits a Michinoku driver and then back-to-back moonsaults. And then the Golden Elite started getting its offense in. Nick with an arm drag head scissors takedown combo. Matt, of course, with the locomotion Northern Light suplexes. Kenny Omega hits a pendulum backbreaker. Laredo Kid hits a neck breaker, and then Omega hits a drop kick. And then there was a little bit of a botch on this one when he was in the ring with Pentagon, where Omega hits a low drop kick that didn't even connect, and the camera angle that they had basically showed that it didn't even connect. So that was a bit of a fail. Omega's leapfrog famouser, which he called the Kotaku Crush. Is that what it's called? Kotaku Crunch? I can't remember. Fuck. But basically he does like a leapfrog and it transitions into like a famouser bulldog combo. The Young Bucks with, of course, the head trap Gamangiri, one of their patented moves. Had a little trouble getting it hooked up, but they did get it hooked up. The Young Bucks with a wheelbarrow cutter. Omega with a German suplex. And then he hit his Singapore roll moonsault combo on Laredo Kid. Matt hits a dynamic elbow drop, and then Nick with a swanton bomb that literally just destroyed Laredo Kid. Oh my god. That had to hurt. Laredo Kid with a Frankensteiner counter causing Matt to spear Nick. Laredo Kid hits an enziguri. Pentagon with a sling blade and a super kick, as well as a backstabber. There were a lot of different moves in this match, in this six-man tag. Phoenix hits a step-up Frankensteiner, which was pretty cool. Laredo Kid with a tope suicida between Pentagon's legs as he was, holding the ropes apart. Pentagon with a double stomp off the corner when I think it was Matt that was kind of hanging on the corner. Matt with a destroyer combo into a spear, which was cool. Omega, of course, with his patented Snapdragon suplexes, and then, of course, the V trigger, that running knee strike that he loves to spam. Pentagon backdrops Phoenix onto Nick over the corner and over Omega, who was seated on the top rope, which was pretty freaking cool. Laredo Kid with a Spanish fly, and then Pentagon hits a destroyer. When Laredo Kid hit the Spanish fly, was going for the cover. Matt was coming, it was either Matt or Nick that was coming to break it up. Pentagon steps onto Laredo Kid and hits a destroyer. I think it was Matt, actually. And hits a destroyer on Matt Jackson, which was freaking sick. And then a super kick party ensued between everybody. And then the Lucha Brothers and Laredo Kid hit super kicks on the Elite. And then the Elite counters with Hadoukens. And then the Elite hits a triple sit-out powerbomb. Each did sit-out powerbombs on each of their opponents for a 2 count. The Elite does a double hanging 450 splash, which was cool. They were basically hanging their opponents on the middle rope, and then I think it was Nick that did the 450. Nick, of course, with his slingshot X Factor, and then Nick hits Pentagon hits a sling blade. Matt with a hanging drop kick. Laredo Kid with a shotgun drop kick. Omega with a V trigger in combo with that. Phoenix with a rolling cutter. Nick hits a rolling hangman neckbreaker in response to that. Phoenix with a Spanish fly onto the Young Bucks and Pentagon. I think it was Matt this time. Matt kind of struggled to get onto the ropes, lost his footing a little bit, but still managed to hang on to it. So that took out the Young Bucks and the Lucha Brothers. That just left Laredo Kid and Kenny Omega. Omega hits a V trigger and then a Tiger Driver 98. And then he hits one more V trigger and then hits his single leg electric chair driver that is known as the One-Winged Angel. Final Fantasy VII, everybody, for the 3 count and the win. Pretty good. A few botches here and there kind of took away from this match, unfortunately. But this was still one hell of a match. I gave it 4.5 stars out of 5. And then we get to the quote-unquote main event of the evening. It was a non-sanctioned match, which means that AEW, this was not an official AEW match per se. So on the record books, it's not going to count. But with it being an unsanctioned match, it means no holds barred, which means it's hardcore rules. So Joey Janela against Jon Moxley. So of course these two have been in a lot of death match style matches, and this one was no exception. So highlights of this match: Janela hit a tope suicida, and I think one of his fingernails accidentally cut Moxley open, which that's not going to bother him any. I mean, this is his environment. The match goes into the crowd. Janela uses somebody's prosthetic leg, which was pretty interesting. Moxley sends Janela into the stairs, and then Moxley with a chair enhanced body slam where he put the chair behind Janela and then picked him up into a body slam. Janela misses a swanton bomb into the chair where Moxley was sitting. Then Moxley brings out a barbed wire wrap chair, which was interesting, and he stomps the barbed wire chair into Janela. Janela hits a Frankensteiner, which sends Moxley onto the barbed wire chair and basically cut his back all to hell. 1 second. Alright, I apologize for that. Janela hits a barbed wire chair shot. They also set up some tables on the outside. And Moxley sent Janela onto the apron, stepped down to the apron himself, and then they basically pulled each other into the tables outside. Moxley hits a spine buster through the table in the corner, which was step in the corner, which was pretty cool. And then Moxley brings out a barbed wire board, but then Janela hits a fireman's carry that sends Moxley into the barbed wire board. Janela actually brought out one of his own, which was pretty interesting. Then Moxley hits a strong lariat. Janela hits back-to-back super kicks. Then sets Moxley up on the two tables that were set up on the outside. Gets a ladder, sets it up in the ring, and it was one of them big ladders, and does a dynamic elbow drop off the ladder through the tables on the outside. But that would be the last offense that he would get. Once they got back in the ring, Moxley hit Dirty Deeds, which is basically his snap double arm DDT. And that was pretty much it for Janela. Moxley hit a fireman's carry into a barbed wire board that was set up on the outside, the one that Janela brought out. Then Moxley started hitting some high knee strikes, and then he grabbed some thumbtacks and spread them all over the ring, and then took Janela's shoes off. He hit a crash landing into the thumbtacks, which is basically a suplex, and then just throws them and threw him right into the thumbtacks. And then he hits an atomic drop into the thumbtacks, and Janela's heels were just basically stuck like pincushions. And then Janela, even through all that, still flipped off Moxley one more time. So Moxley finished things off with the Paradigm Shift, which is his Impaler double arm DDT. And he actually spit a thumbtack out of his mouth, because it actually when they we actually got a second bag of thumbtacks out, spread them all over, hit the Paradigm Shift into the thumbtacks. It created this big splash of thumbtacks, and he actually spit one out of his mouth, which was pretty cool. And got the 3 count and the win. This match was awesome. I'm a huge fan of hardcore wrestling, so this obviously appealed to me. Not much in the... there weren't really any botches in this one, to be honest. Went into the crowd, had some crazy shit happen, and of course a finish where you get a Impaler double arm DDT on the thumbtacks. So I gave this match 5 stars out of 5. It was awesome. It was an awesome main event. And then afterwards, Kenny Omega attacks Moxley after the match. Continuity, how about that? And he hit Dirty Deeds onto a trash can on the ramp to basically end the show. It's kind of unfortunate that these two weren't able to face off at All Out, which kind of sucks. But maybe it was a blessing in disguise, because now we'll be able to see this all play out on the weekly television show. As for my overall rating of Fyter Fest, the first match of the pre-show was awesome, but the other two were just the drizzling shits. But the main card was actually pretty damn good. I'll give this show a 7 out of 10. And that'll do it for this review. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again next time. Till then, take care. Well, that is all for today's video. Thank you very much for watching. Be sure to rate, comment, favorite, like, and subscribe to my channels here on YouTube.com and over on BitChute.com. If you would like to sponsor my channel, go to my channel page at subscribestar.com. Thank you very much for watching, and until next time, this is the PackerMan, signing out. Have a good one.